we have an interview with someone central to the daring assault on the key. The case began with the mysterious source providing copious amounts of evidence, outlining an extensive operation to take millions from Galbank. But all three have recanted their testimony, leaving the investigation in shambles. From your smile, to your hair, to your face, and more, a representative said, Enhance ensures you have the final choice on you. By buying out its competitor, this corporate giant stands to loom ever larger in the market. UC Security, working in conjunction with two unknown soldiers, managed to contain this deadly threat before untold damage could be brought to the rest of the city. But come January 1st, gourmet lovers have to wait a long 11 months until their next fix. But the robbery did not go well, resulting in a potentially deadly standoff. 5 years ago, the floating tomb of the Chioptera was found in space. Should any United Colony citizens need to venture to the capital of Freestar Collective Space, remain extra vigilant. The person who actually captured the key was a member of Constellation. When contacted, the Lux Site's agent said, it's going to be one heck of a show. Remember, get their music wherever slates are sold. In a stunning press conference, the Rangers revealed that Ron Hope was giving Freestar farmers doctored fertilizer, which hurt their crops but increased the mineral content on the land. Given the stakes, the plan is to hunt heat leeches and terramorphs into extinction and to make terramorph attacks a thing of the past. The lines of the ship are at best questionable, and industry analysts are puzzled and even angry about it. As our source said, that left the Crimson Fleet vulnerable. List told our reporter, it was a simple data entry error. It should have been listed as 3B instead of 2B. We're just a resource, and we're not liable. A gunfight broke out between unknown assailants and security. Argos was mining valuable minerals. They had mined hard enough to attract attention. The latest Interceptor movie also set records in production cost and delays. On Aquila, it's the name of a very real and deadly threat. Still, thinking it over. A surprising turn of events and a victory for us all. There is a real chance that the Crimson Fleet is finally dealt with. The recent rise of missing supplies at the spaceport is apparently a part of this crime ring, as they stole supplies and then sold them to the infamous Crimson Fleet. Though remnants of the Crimson Fleet escaped the key, Sista feels confident that in time, this dark and bloody chapter of settled systems history will finally come to an end. Return of the Interceptor broke box office records with its release. The daring ranger who investigated this confronted Ron Hope and ultimately ended his life. What are the terramorphs? Where do they come from? The exact details of the contract are confidential, but many business analysts say this means that Infinity Ltd. Is primed to enter the spacecraft industry. In the subsequent battle, Ron Hope and many of his security personnel were killed. The United Colonies was forced to close another crime ring investigation against the Trade Authority. Miraculously, there were no civilian casualties. Enhance is planning to open up 2 new branches to keep up with demand in the settled systems. During the robbery, Captain Petrov sadly died. But as planned, it was blasted harmlessly into pieces, providing a memorable light show. Journalistic integrity at its finest. SSNN. Galbank praised the Freestar Rangers in a press conference, saying they remain trusted partners in maintaining the safety of its branches. Official word from the United Colonies Interstellar Affairs Division was that this was done in reaction to the terramorph attacks, but recent activity at the Freestar Embassy suggests that the decision to access the Colony War repository may have been less than amicable. The captain of the ship, Yevgeny Rokov, has been confirmed missing, and the lead investigator confirms he is a suspect and is wanted for questioning. But the extravagant gamble paid off, and the movie is poised to take the awards by storm. Stroud Eklund has been a surprisingly insurgent force in Star Yards ever since it entered the scene. Our Ranger source, for one, believes that Hope Tech is a great company and hopes it'll weather the storm. Think you've got what it takes to tackle the business world? Fancy yourself a megacorp megastar? The standoff was broken by a daring member of Constellation who breached the bank and put down the gang. It takes a lot of firepower to take out a terramorph, our source said. Report any sightings immediately to United Colonies authorities. Seek shelter and wait for a Marine detachment to jump in and eliminate the threat. This is all but confirmation of the former commander's guilt. Citizens of New Atlantis were shocked today when an unidentified assailant assaulted the employees within the Infinity Ltd building, leaving many dead, including Lucas Drexler, CEO. The sole survivor was rescued by a passing captain. Details of what befell the outpost are unknown. The Freestar Ranger said, "This matter is under active investigation, and any leads should be reported to them." Everyone, it would seem, is now in their sights. From the pirates of the Crimson Fleet to civilian merchant vessels they claim have violated some law. In a titanic battle against the Crimson Fleet at the Key, the UC Vigilance was captured, leaving the settled systems virtually defenseless against future Crimson Fleet aggression. An inside source said an anonymous donation of evidence spurred the investigation. The source says this is an open and shut case. Ayumi's going down. Deep in space, the enigmatic collector Captain Petrov was the target of a daring robbery. Spacers are a menace everywhere. But on the Altair system, we've heard that an unlikely alliance pacified the system. Ryujin CEO, Masako Imada, released a statement saying Ryujin would take full care of the families of the deceased. I admit, I'm intrigued. The latest bloody affair involved the Ebside strikers battling with their nemesis, the Disciples, in a large warehouse. Drexler's motivation appears to be an attempt to launch a new product based off stolen information from a competitor. Again, the customer satisfaction survey of New Atlantis businesses ranked Galbank in the top 3. It's our duty as a news network to maintain a level of trust with our listeners. Hopefully, these peaceful travelers will find a good home in the stars. The cause of her death is as of yet unknown, but no foul play is suspected. This is yet another black eye in SysDef's never-ending struggle to contain the elusive Crimson Fleet. The board clearly had enough and have replaced her with former COO Ularo Chen. The self-described Mongolian warlord has confirmed killed at least 13 trading vessels and destroyed several security vessels. But hopefully, the newly established Terramorph Management Division can help. Trident Luxury Lines is known for unbelievable opulence and extravagance. And after the first reign of terror, it's hard to disagree. In a press statement, Galbank acknowledged there was a data breach and reassured its customers that their accounts have not been compromised and their credits are safe. We can confirm from an anonymous source that indeed SysDef's flagship, the Vigilance, is now in the hands of the Crimson Fleet. Stunning pictures of the meteor show are awe-inspiring. Authorities representing the UC and the Freestar Collective have been dispatched to a consolidated mining station and the clinic. There's reason to believe that things may be getting just a little bit better for Neon. Some questioned whether the extraordinary risk was worth it, but the Crimson Fleet lost a huge amount of credits. We will spare no expense in tracking down who did this and bring them to justice. The assailants managed to escape, but not before stealing the Terran Preservation Society's coveted Earth Savior Award. In business circles, it's considered common wisdom that Sidonia's best days are long behind it. The death of famed industrialist Ron Hope shocked the settled systems, and now SSNN has exclusive details on his death. Newly recovered recordings give new light to the historical record. And our source said of the fight, when everything is on the line, every moment seems like a gift. It's a solid, sensible design with few frills but excellent performance and safety features. Administrations come and go in the big city, but SSNN is here to stay. It is confirmed. The UC Vigilance, flagship of SysDef, our best defense against the Crimson Fleet, has been defeated. The miners banded together around one of their own, a woman so talented that afterwards she was recruited by Constellation. Ron Hope would then send in mercenaries to muscle out the farmers and claim the resources to keep Hope Tech afloat. There are a lot of leads to follow up on after that attack at the spaceport. There's more to the story than Mast is letting on. I know it. Trident Luxury Lines is known for unbelievable opulence and extravagance. I figured as much. A newcomer blazed through run after run, completing their 29th run in a whirlwind. Before the colonists left, in an exclusive SSNN interview, they revealed they have no hostile intentions and are open to trading with any interested parties. In the wake of the Terramorph attack on New Atlantis, an unprecedented act of cooperation has occurred. Can I help you? Another zoning meeting at Mast has resulted in a stalemate. And now the settled systems are still reeling from the near destruction of SysDef. and it's unclear how dire things will be in the future. Gang violence runs rampant through Neon. All right, I'll take a look. In a titanic battle against the Crimson Fleet at the Key, the UC Vigilance was captured, leaving the settled systems virtually defenseless against future Crimson Fleet aggression. A shootout in Cydonia. An unnamed tracker opened fire on their mark in the middle of a busy spaceport. The House of Enlightenment is organizing its annual charity auction for the widows and orphans of Crimson Fleet and spacer violence. Spontaneous parties have started up all over Cydonia as it promises boom times may be ahead. SSNN correspondent Nora Vasquez on the ground in Aquila City has reported an increase in attacks by the Shaw Gang. Reports from the scene indicate the Rangers had help from a newly arrived visitor, as of yet unidentified. A trio of United Colonies personnel, including daughter of the infamous Admiral Francois Sinon, have answered a mystery that has plagued the settled systems for over 100 years. The Rangers worked with a local Good Samaritan to apprehend and arrest the gang without bloodshed. Who knows when anyone will ever feel safe in New Atlantis again? Galbank's stock continues to take a pounding as senior executive Larry Dombrowski was found guilty on multiple counts of embezzlement and has been sentenced to prison. A ferocious captain flying, of all things, a Hope Tech pickup, has boarded at least 2 separate ships. So instead of starting a new life, free of rules and completely self-reliant, the family returned to New Atlantis and filed a lawsuit. This has been David Barron for SSNN. Though remnants of the Crimson Fleet escaped the Key, Sistef feels confident that this dark and bloody chapter of settled systems history is finally at an end. The UC Vanguard has claimed a decisive victory against the Varun Zealots. It received a perfect score from a consumer advocate group, with one reviewer saying, "It's the best ship I've ever flown, hands down." Galbank is once again in the crosshairs of gang violence on the streets of Aquila City. Well, I'll be the judge of that. A lone crazed gunman and another unidentified person engaged in a sustained firefight over many terrifying minutes. After extensive negotiation, the Paradiso Group outfitted this vessel with the grav drive, and now the ECS Constant is gone. Where these colonists from out of time will go next is anyone's guess. Ron Hope would then send in mercenaries to muscle out the farmers and claim the resources to keep Hope Tech afloat. As hard as it is to believe, the scourge of space, the Crimson Fleet, has been dealt a powerful and perhaps fatal blow from Sistef. One critic said, "Mechs are banned by the armistice because of their unconscionable destructive power. Not only was the victory secured, but the notorious leader of the Crimson Fleet, Delgado, is confirmed dead. If you surrender, one security expert says, he will let you live. He is honorable that way. Fire a single shot, and he will show no mercy." An eyewitness said that it was remarkable that the Rangers were able to keep the situation from devolving into a massacre. Though the Crimson Fleet's involvement has been long suspected, this proof shows a chilling lack of remorse and basic humanity on the fleet's part. But aboard the Siren of the Stars, it played host to a daring robbery. This seemingly simple request has brought bitter controversy that seems no closer to resolution. There are no clues as to the identity of the talented cat burglars. The security investigation is ongoing. When reached for comment, UC Command said that the Marines were involved in routine training exercises. The credit goes to the hard-working men and women that keep the line, pushing ships hour after hour, said Ron Hope. The questions surrounding the final whereabouts of Jasper Criggs have finally been answered. The Hadron Consortium announced the loss of a research outpost in neutral space. SSNN recommends that all Galbank customers change their login credentials and monitor their bank accounts for suspicious activity. Should we try this again some other time? We have a reputation to uphold as a news network. I'm sure you can understand that. The exact details of what happened and why have remained elusive, but hopefully the lone gunman will be captured soon. Trident Luxury Lines, known for opulence, extravagance, and now for a violent robbery aboard the Siren of the Stars. Let's hope that all of us can live with that bitter solution. Commander Akande died honorably with his ship, along with almost all souls aboard the Vigilance. The anonymous pirate most responsible for this turn of events wouldn't tell us why they did it. The identity of the butchers was never found, but a recent recording conclusively proves that the Crimson Fleet was responsible. Laboratory reports confirm that the Regana was completely destroyed and all hands aboard lost. Ularo Chen was one of the youngest COOs the corporation has ever had. She's now dead at the age of 32. Now, if you'll excuse me, I obviously have some work to do. The United Colonies Vanguard program recently celebrated its 15-year anniversary. I personally want to send my heartfelt prayers to anyone that travels in space. Godspeed. Guard Captain Davis Wilson and his deputy managed to kill an Ashta unlike any that has ever been recorded. Reports from the scene indicate the Rangers had help from a newly arrived visitor, as of yet unidentified. In an SSNN exclusive, we interviewed one of the key participants, a member of Constellation, Captain Petrov, who has been under investigation on various counts of possession of illegal cultural artifacts and stolen goods, found what some may say is karmic justice. The Freestar Rangers were able to resolve the hostage situation with minimal civilian casualties. Details are still coming in on the epic confrontation between the Crimson Fleet and SysDef. The stoic residents of Aquila City, though shocked, have taken the news in stride. A plan is formed to use a natural predator of the Terramorphs and their larvae, a creature called an Aseles, to combat the threat. The latest offering, the Kepler, has people questioning whether Walter Stroud finally reached too far, too fast. But this view may be in the minority, as the message of the Universals continues to spread far and wide. Neon is no stranger to violence and danger, but the firefight that took place at the Generdyne Power Facility has shaken the halls of power. In a bold move, Ryujin Industries has initiated a hostile takeover of Infinity Ltd. And filed plans to make it a fully owned subsidiary. Whether this is just another incident in the long, sad line of ship violence or the start of a more brutal chapter, only time will tell. Whether they were kidnapped, fled, or were killed elsewhere is unknown at this time. The Freestar Rangers have so far refused to comment to SSNN on what steps, if any, are being taken to secure Aquila City. Worth over 1 million credits and made of gold filigree and covered in diamonds, the theft of the award is presumed to be the motive for the attack. The settled systems are sadly no stranger to Terramorph attacks, but how and why they occur is barely understood. Rumors abound that Stroud Eklund has one more trick up its sleeve to reclaim its title from last year. Though by all accounts, SysDef Commander Kibwe Ikande led a valiant defense, SysDef proved no match against the combined power of the Crimson Fleet. The captain was garbed in what can only be described as medieval Mongolian battle armor and calls himself Genghis Khan. Alarming news in galactic politics today. The Armistice archives have been opened. Although this sounds like an idyllic resolution, SSNN has an anonymous source claiming these colonists are little more than indentured servants. Several areas currently zoned as residential are seeking to allow home-based businesses. Genevieve Monahan made a statement. Not only is this a great opportunity to add massive talent to the Ryujin family, but also allows us to give some stability back to the workers of Infinity Ltd. Sadly, the bank manager, William Crowley, devoted father of 3, was murdered by the gang. In other news, Varun zealots have been sighted in the Moloch, Zosma, Ophion, and Akaran systems. The Freestar Rangers were able to resolve the hostage situation with no civilian casualties, an impressive outcome given the Shaw gang's reputation for excessive violence. Though it is widely speculated that the Trade Authority is involved in a wide variety of smuggling and theft, it has been very difficult to prove. Festivities aboard the vessel came to a dramatic end when a firefight broke out between unknown assailants and the security force. After an interlude of stability, the infamous Shaw gang struck again. Then jump on over to Neon and apply in person at Ryujin Industries, the fastest rising corporation in all the settled systems. After one meeting was broken up by a shouting match between citizens on both sides of the issue, the matter was moved to a closed-door proceeding. After extensive negotiation, the Paradiso Group outfitted this vessel with the grav drive, and now the ECS Constant is gone. Although Hertz's official press release states he is quitting due to family reasons. Citizens of New Atlantis were shocked today when an unidentified assailant left several dead at the Infinity Ltd. Building, including Lucas Drexler, CEO. Of course, I just hope your source is as reliable as you think they are. A mysterious artifact, unearthed by persons unknown, was the target of the theft. A mere 2 years ago, amidst disappointing sales and a massive recall, the embattled Star Yard looked on the verge of ruin. And the final scores were surprisingly tight, with Tayo Astroneering earning a single award more than rival Stroud Eklund. Our Ranger source said there may be other scandals Ron Hope had hatched, saying there should be a thorough investigation. Is that so? Spoken like a true tabloid reporter. Power, prestige, money. As a member of the Ryujin family, you can have it all. For over 100 years, there have been tales of the fabled mantis. After all Sistef forces arrived, the outmatched Crimson Fleet managed to jump out moments before their defeat. I was just going to Galbank, one person said. Do I have to be subjected to universal propaganda? Fortunately, the break-in occurred during a routine security upgrade, so the violence was contained. But let's hope that there won't be further episodes like this. Instead of making it safely to port, it was found floating, the site of a brutal massacre. They revealed that some UC guards were aiding the infamous Jasper Cricks in both the widespread riots and the violent overthrow that followed. A plan has been formed to create an engineered microbe that will eliminate heat leeches and terramorphs. As hard as it is to believe, the deadly terramorphs were personally slain by this incredible hero. Trouble looms on scattered farms throughout the Freestar Collective. Laredo Firearms has been ramping up production in Aquila City and are taking away market share. The notorious bandit gang, reportedly based out of the wild somewhere outside the city, has thus far eluded capture by the Freestar Rangers, an undercover operative who infiltrated the Crimson Fleet and helped take them out from the inside. A new era of peace may be dawning over the settled systems thanks to the brave heroes of the Key Offensive. But to be clear, Genghis Khan is extremely dangerous. It was revealed Imada was working with Infinity Ltd's Lucas Drexler in a murderous attack on a mining station and the unauthorized human trials at the clinic. A member of Constellation helped during the firefight, along with his trusty robot. The climactic moment happened after the Key's defensive batteries were eliminated and the Key itself was boarded. Is there at least a name I can cite as my source? But if history is any judge, it's only a matter of time before an incident occurs with a more tragic outcome. Authorities searched its filed flight plan and discovered debris along its flight path. A heated battle ensued between the Crimson Fleet and the miners. In the battle that followed, Commander Kibwe Akande led his forces to a decisive victory. A series of communications between Drexler and Imada were discovered, where she encouraged Drexler to ignore approval guidelines for human trials. And now, a word from one of our sponsors. The Ranger who took down Ron Hope says, in his final moments, Ron Hope offered extravagant bribes and threats. Freestar Collective and United Colonies authorities appear hesitant to officially clamp down on Ecliptic, citing a lack of evidence, and the fact that they occasionally still employ the services of the contract company. But the robbery did not go well, resulting in a deadly standoff. Hopefully, this will send the Zealots reeling and make space just one bit safer for the rest of us. SSNN has been contacting psychiatric facilities to see if anyone has gone missing, but has turned up nothing so far. Where this leaves Hope Tech, and more broadly the Freestar Collective, is anyone's guess. Neon Security is working closely with Jennerdyne to get to the bottom of this latest disaster in Neon. We're close to the action here in New Atlantis. Prime position to report on the big stories that affect the United Colonies. A small gathering of Sanctum Universum faithful listened to hear their founder, but some passerbys expressed frustration. No matter where the credit ultimately lies, clearly everyone involved deserves our heartfelt recognition. How did this happen? Why? And how can we make sure it doesn't happen again? A rising star in Ryujin has fallen tragically early. It seems these notorious bloodthirsty pirates have been emboldened lately, frequently venturing into Freestar Collective space, and now launching more and more assaults on ships in the UC. With the meteoric rise of Stroud Eklund in recent years, it looks like the Star Yards may have to brace for even more competition. The banned Colony War knowledge has been accessed only under the rarest of circumstances in the years since the war. Although far-fetched, the book's already gained quite the following in the Freestar Collective and more than its share of controversy. The CEO, Masako Imada, had this to say: "Losing Ularu is a real loss. She was an invaluable member of our team." The award, shaped like the Earth and covered in gold filigree and diamonds, has an estimated value of over 1,000,000 credits. The UC Vigilance and support ships mounted a daring attack at the Crimson Fleet's headquarters, the Key. But cooperation is in short supply after the Colony War. When confronted with evidence of the conspiracy, Hope ordered his security personnel to attack rather than surrender to justice. The pirate who took down the Vigilance is unrepentant. They said, it's all down to cold hard credits. Commander Wood stands accused of purposefully causing giant cash overruns on a top-secret UC military project. The pirate who took down the Vigilance said that SysDef was a problem that needed to be solved. SysDef officials have declined to officially comment, but a source speaking on condition of anonymity has confirmed they are ramping up efforts to deter the Crimson Fleet. If encountered, these alien predators should be avoided at all costs. Do not attempt to engage. Despite all the problems, one of the consumer advocate reviewers had this to say. On paper, this ship makes no sense. But I have to admit, after I got over the learning curve, it was fun to fly. Really fun. Stroud Eklund has been a surprisingly insurgent force in Star Yards ever since it entered the scene. Another derelict vessel has been found. All hands aboard were dead, and the signs point to Varun zealots. Ryujin security managed to chase the criminals out before anything could be stolen. Is everything okay? Where does that leave us? A new era of terror is dawning. One of the people who fought in the Battle of the Key, once considered an effective, even essential element in combating some of the settled system's most dangerous threats. It would seem the mercenary company known as Ecliptic is now one of those threats. The murders are believed to be linked to a new investigation where Drexler would have been accused of numerous violations, including murder for hire, unauthorized human trials, and corporate theft. Well, you can't blame me for trying. New developments for Embattled Infinity Ltd. I don't suppose you want to tell me how you got this evidence. A credible source said the Freestar Militia and UC Marines banded together to defeat a large force of spacers preying on colonists in the system. Not only was victory secured, but the notorious leader of the Crimson Fleet, Delgado, was captured and is currently awaiting trial on the Vigilance. Masako Imada, Ryujin CEO for the past 12 years, was voted out by the board of directors. The search has ended for the medical ship Brigana, bound for New Homestead with life-saving supplies. The settled systems can let out a collective sigh of relief as SysDef claims a stunning victory against the Crimson Fleet. Mr. Singh said in an interview, although we can't expect a repeat of what happened with DeMille, we do ask that everyone open their hearts and their wallets for this worthy cause. Eventually, the standoff broke into gunfire, and all gang members were put down. The Regana was on a mission of mercy to deliver medical supplies to New Homestead. Pre-orders for the new ship are breaking Stroud Eklund records. The new ship design is a divvying array of features, often at odds with each other. As long as the evidence is adequate and verifiable, I expect it'll be aired within the hour, if not sooner. Few institutions have endured as well or as long as the Galactic Banking Consortium, or GalBank. The Chunks spokeswoman said, "Holiday chunks require special ingredients we can only get during that magical time of year." Well, obviously the truth is what matters most, but oftentimes the source can help substantiate the evidence. It all starts with the scheme to steal farmers' land using a violent mercenary gang known as the First. The Paradiso Group said it arranged the whole thing as a special surprise for its resort goers. The pirates expected easy prey, but instead they found more than they bargained for. A mere decade after Jasper helped form the Crimson Fleet in 2240, he disappeared. A new era of peace may be dawning over the settled systems, thanks to the brave heroes of the Key Offensive. If a story doesn't pass a basic fact check, it doesn't air. Simple as that. Until now. A recent pharmaceutical breakthrough has meant that the previously worthless mineral known as aqueous hematite now has a vital and profitable use. The asteroid had been tracked for weeks, said the group. We knew our planetary defense system would keep everyone safe and provide a memorable moment for our patrons. The latest concert of Hazani Lux and the Luxites sold out in a record 0.8 seconds. The miners banded together around one of their own, an individual so talented that afterwards they were recruited by Constellation. Perhaps the Freestar Collective will agree. As the city breathed a collective sigh of relief, questions are being demanded of the UC cabinet. Security says that this is just the latest retelling of a ghost story. But for myself, I hope it's real. The call has gone out for both Freestar Collective and United Colonies Security to unite and do something about this common threat. A confidential source says a large golden giraffe idol, possibly of ancient Earth descent, was the target of the theft. A carefully prepared SysDef ambush almost resulted in disaster. Details of any casualties have not been disclosed. The reviews are in for the latest ships from star yards across the settled systems. Although we have not been able to track down specifics, it's clear that someone is preying on them. Donovan Reese, the undisputed champion of the Red Mile, with 28 successful runs, has been dethroned. Commander Ikande deserves his accolades, said our source. It was an honor to work with him. At one point, this pirate captain was considered a novelty, perhaps even a punchline. The Mantis, supposedly, is a vigilante that would prey upon criminals and pirates. As Mr. Dombrowski was taken to prison, he claimed he was framed, but our forensic accountant says the evidence against him is extensive and damning. One judge said, technologically, it's neck and neck. Really, there's no bad choices this season, but this coveted position may be slipping. In other news, on the lifeless planet of Ecterra, a mining operation run by Argos extractors was attacked by the Crimson Fleet. Keeper Aquilus delivered what was by all accounts a passionate and moving sermon on greed and the responsibility of man. Also on board was an exotic collection of animals whose cages were opened, unleashing what sources have called a zoo gone wild. Though by all accounts, SysDef Commander Kibwe Kande led a valiant defense, SysDef proved no match against the combined power of the Crimson Fleet. The ranger responsible, however, refuses to worry about what comes next. They said, as a ranger, worrying about Ron Hope's employees isn't my job. Justice is. In the heart of Aquila City, Galbank was robbed by the Shaw Gang. Sadly, several civilians were caught in the crossfire. While what was stolen remains unknown, its value is expected to be extreme. Argos was commissioned by the enigmatic Constellation to dig resources on the planet, but their routine job turned deadly. If you'll excuse me, I obviously have work to do. An unknown vessel has been identified as an ancient colony ship that has finally reached its destination after generations of traveling sublight. What was stolen, why, and how it was stolen are all unknown at this time. SysDef was successful in finally righting the wrongs of the past, said our source. Both locations are believed to hold numerous victims. Members of the gang continue to infiltrate the city, harassing, robbing, and in one instance even murdering one of the residents. Local security and the Freestar Rangers surrounded the bank and thus began a long, tense standoff. The only problem is that Moon does not exist. A prospective colonist family used list resources to find a new home, a remote moon filled with life and ideal for farming. Infinity's value is still in freefall after the shocking revelation that Infinity's CEO, Lucas Drexler, had hired ecliptic mercenaries to kill innocent people at a mining station. And it's not just Laredo that's a threat. Core Kinetics and Combatech have been making gains as well. Another blow to an already beleaguered Genodyne Corporation came today as COO Ayumi Komiko was arrested. In a stunning press conference, the Rangers revealed that Ron Hope was giving Freestar farmers doctored fertilizer, which hurt their crops but increased the mineral content on the land. As Crimson Fleet attacks continue to rise, so too does the pressure on SysDef to protect United Colonies space. Intriguing. Anytime we get a news story like this, they always lack the evidence to back it up. Armed with only their trusty mining lasers, the Argos crew fought off the Crimson Fleet and defended their facility. Rangers apprehended Ron Hope, and during interrogation, he admitted to his crimes. Many believe there's something deeper going on, but what no one can agree on is what, why, and why now. Hot off their latest album, already scalped ticket prices for the concert are 3 times face value. Galbank is once again in the crosshairs of gang violence on the streets of Aquila City. 32 colonists who only dreamed of starting a new life on a new world were cut short in brutal fashion. Dozens of Vanguard pilots who are now full UC citizens attended the ceremony and listened to a speech from President Abeyo. In business news, The markets are in overdrive as the stunning deal between Ryujin Industries and famed spacecraft OS developer Quantum Synergies was announced. After extensive negotiation, Paradiso has made a deal to let these colonists from out of town live in the resort. The details on the project itself have yet to be confirmed, but it's believed that Masako Imada, CEO of Ryujin Industries, may be involved. What are the Terramorphs? Where do they come from? Though almost everyone aboard the Vigilance died with the ship, there are accounts that Commander Ikande and a certain Lieutenant Toft were not aboard. Resort goers on Paradiso reported a surprising and spectacular sight. Perfect stranger or not, we won't air anything without some sort of hard evidence. There are unconfirmed reports of farmers being targeted by an unknown group or gang whose motives are unclear. The fact that UC forces were partially responsible for Jasper Crix's rise to power is damning and adding fuel to the argument that the UC is responsible for the plague that is the Crimson Fleet. We're asked to remind listeners that those in possession of Aurora are subject to fines and/or imprisonment and is a clear threat to public safety. For years, Allied Armaments has been the premier supplier of private firearms. SSNN has received multiple reports of a strange new pirate. All right, you've got my attention. Their latest offering, the Kepler, appears to be its finest achievement yet. Although Spaceport Security is claiming this as a major victory, a source inside the department claims that the evidence was all but handed to us on a silver platter. After an astounding 10th year without a single reported accident, business has never been better. That naked greed may have changed the balance of power in the settled systems forever. Now, Hope Tech looks in position to take even more market share from rival star yards. And although the attack is over, many of us still have nightmares of that fateful day. News from Sidonia. Governor Glenhurst has stepped down from his post under mysterious circumstances. Citizens are urged to immediately report any heat leak sighting to local officials to have the creatures removed. SSNN reached out to Hearst for comment, but his publicist declined our request, citing concerns for his client's privacy. Although no one was injured except the tracker's target, this newest spate of violence has renewed the call for stricter regulation of the tracker's alliance. The heart of the settled systems. SSNN. This story isn't going to investigate itself. The captain of the ship, one Yevgeny Rokov, is confirmed to be missing and wanted for questioning. 2240 is a year etched in dishonorable history for the UC. It is the year that the lock fell and the Crimson Fleet was born. Last year, a private concert by classical violinist Alyssa DeMille sold for a staggering 70,000 credits. A surprise terramorph attack killed every settler. There were no survivors. As outlandish as this story is, Genghis Khan is considered very dangerous. Citizens are urged to immediately report any heat leak sighting to local officials to have the creatures removed. A record that everyone thought would stand the test of time has been broken. Rumors of infidelity, embezzlement, and a health crisis abound. A spokeswoman said, "We are obviously delighted. Galbank prides itself on putting customers first. Reliability, dependability, and service." New Atlantis played home to gunplay and havoc as armed parties fought their way through the well and the spaceport. The miners banded together around one of their own, a man so talented that afterwards he was recruited by Constellation. SSNN is still looking into the identity and whereabouts of the thief. UC Security interrogated spacers who claim that Mantis is back and thirsty for righteous vengeance. Why am I not surprised? In a pitched battle in the Groombridge system, the Vanguard dealt a major upset to the Zealots. A new novel written by Freestar veteran and author Hawa Mega has been climbing the charts. The charges against them detail an extensive bribery campaign by the Crimson Fleet aimed at delivering stolen supplies to the Key. The only thing we know for sure is the leadership of this vital UC colony is changing. Or tip his cap to the new champion. The psychotropic produced in the city of Neon and widely available there is illegal contraband in the United Colonies. The fate of Hope Tech and more broadly the Freestar Collective is anyone's guess after this stunning turn of events. The latest investigation hinged upon the depositions of 3 key eyewitnesses. Now the settled systems may know what life could be like without the constant menace of the Crimson Fleet. After an interlude of stability, the infamous Shaw gang struck again. Attacking the Crimson Fleet in their home system has been widely criticized, but our source says they didn't have a choice. It has been many years since we've heard any report on the Mantis, until now. As the Crimson Fleet still celebrates, here in civilized space we can only wait and see what comes next. Authorities are recommending all vessels to surrender immediately if Genghis Khan is encountered. Mech Horizon is a fictionalized account of a mech pilot whose dizzying career has her face off with the UC Spacers and leading an assault on Varun zealots. The evidence is under intense scrutiny, but so far even the most skeptical analysts have found no reason to doubt its authenticity. Why he was there remains unknown, but it appears that he died marooned on that ship, likely perishing of starvation. If you ever find yourself with a hot lead, we will do our best to protect your anonymity. Whatever really happened, it's good that at least one system is safe from spacers today. Commander Woods is then alleged to have embezzled these funds until his operation recently came crashing down around him. The source said that the Crimson Fleet didn't seek out this fight. SysDef attacked, and as our source said, that cost them dearly. SysDef had badly underestimated their opponent, and a reckoning was due. In a coordinated campaign, SysDef and at least one member of Constellation managed to capture the key intact and send the remnants of the Crimson Fleet on the run. Quantum Synergies has long had a policy of strict neutrality, providing a level playing field for all the Star Yards and their OS. What's this so-called story about? You're listening to SSNN. The following is a public service message to anyone residing in or visiting United Colony systems. The Terramorph threat is real. In a prepared statement, Ularo said, Ryujin was shocked by Amada's reckless and unethical behavior, but under my leadership, a new, exciting chapter for Ryujin will begin. Who can they protect? Indeed. But the passengers aboard the Siren of the Stars experienced far more than that. She has been charged with conspiring with the Crimson Fleet on a variety of crimes throughout the settled systems. And beyond that, he had conducted unauthorized and highly illegal human trials at the clinic. The details on the project itself and the competitor have yet to be confirmed. Ron Hope is dead. Visionary, industrialist, and member of the Freestar Collective's ruling body, the Council of Governors, Ron Hope died sadly in disgrace at the hands of the Freestar Rangers. All crewmates were found dead. The medical supplies and everything in the cargo hold was missing, leading authorities to suspect pirate activity. With this deal, Ryujin's fully owned subsidiary, Tayo Astroneering, stands to have a powerful advantage for years to come. Glorifying them is not only disrespectful to the many families who lost loved ones during the Colony War, it's also dangerous. Infinity Ltd. And Lucas Drexler are currently under investigation for a number of violations, including murder for hire, unauthorized human trials, and corporate theft. Nothing says December quite like holiday chunks. A trio of United Colonies personnel, including daughter of the infamous Admiral Francois Sinon, have answered a mystery that has plagued the settled systems for over 100 years. We'll find out whether this outlandish ship will be an embarrassment or a cult favorite when it goes on sale to the public. Recently uncovered evidence confirms that Jasper Crix met his end on a derelict vessel found in the Bannock system. Many of the sequences were shot on location, with the director insisting on authenticity at all costs. Security claimed victory, saying, "We protected every single passenger and drove those hijackers off the ship." Tragedy struck a remote settlement on Tau Ceti 2. There are unconfirmed reports of a significant data breach in Galbank's New Atlantis office. In an exclusive interview with SSNN, their spokeswoman said that their conduction grid plans were stolen and corporate espionage may be to blame. The Terran Preservation Society's coveted Earth Savior Award was stolen. Ron Hope is dead. Visionary, industrialist, and member of the Freestar Collective's ruling body, the Council of Governors, Ron Hope died sadly in disgrace at the hands of the Freestar Rangers. If you're interested, you're advised to act now because the waiting list is growing. More news from the embattled Ryujin Industries and a new casualty from the clinic scandal. The ranger who exposed and was forced to take Mr. Hope's life says he got what he deserved. It turns out the common ever-present pest, known as the heat leech, is actually the larval stage of the Terramorph. In the battle that followed, Commander Kibwe Akande led his forces to a decisive victory. You're listening to the Settled Systems News Network. Many gang members perished in the violence, and Neon Security said that it has left the vicious disciples in disarray. Jasper Cricks, a name that inspires rage, fear, and sometimes wonder to this very day. 6 Crimson Fleet vessels were lured into a fake distress call when a would-be savior Grav jumped in, and popularity polls for SysDef indicate the public agrees. A cryptic statement from Generdyne confirmed the incident occurred and said that patented technology was stolen. The remarkable success of the Vanguard, the president said, is standing right before us. The Paradiso Group firmly denies these allegations. The pirate who took down the Vigilance was almost gleeful when they told us, "I'm a pirate, and it was great to finally show my true colors." New Atlantis Security has reported yet another Aurora overdose case. Citizens of New Atlantis were shocked today when an unidentified assailant left several dead at the Infinity Ltd building. It turns out the common ever-present pest, known as the heat leech, is actually the larval stage of the Terramorph. The Crimson Fleet came into a huge amount of money, enough to change the balance of power. Maybe your friend here would care to comment? Although Donovan Reese is retired, the question on everyone's mind is, will he come back and defend his title? Truly, a once-in-a-lifetime treat for the lucky vacationers that were there. An unknown vessel has been identified as an ancient colony ship that finally reached its destination after generations of traveling sublight. That was little comfort to the irate would-be colonists. Woods is now awaiting trial, but the UC military has officially stripped him of all rank and privileges. The source participated in the daring boarding action that ultimately carried the day. It's important that the people of the United Colonies can trust their primary news source. Even the most cutthroat of fleet pirates feared the Mantis, but even that move has not resolved the matter. Another update on the scandal that's rocked the UC military. Commander Stephen Woods. Good. The less investigation we need to put into this, the faster I can prepare the broadcast. UC Security and members of the UC Vanguard worked in tight coordination to end the Terramorph threat and save the city. But perhaps SysDef's role has been overstated. Our source claims their own role was pivotal, saying, "I was instrumental in SysDef's victory." Bad news for the League of Independent Settlers, or LIST. Ron Hope tried everything he could to keep these secrets covered up, but a valiant ranger confronted him and ultimately ended his life. Galbank praised the Freestar Rangers in a press conference, saying, they remain trusted partners in maintaining the safety of its branches. SysDef plans were thrown out the window and a chaotic battle ensued. As violence increases in neutral space, many are questioning whether the formation of outposts and colonies needs real regulation to prevent future tragedies such as this. Galbank representatives would neither confirm or deny these rumors. Where does that leave us? A new era of terror is dawning. Representatives of the Freestar Collective, United Colonies, and House Varoon has set aside their differences and unlocked the Armistice archives in the hopes of combating this alien threat. Unknown to families and vacationers, in the skies above, a massive asteroid was hurtling towards the planet. Our walls have stood for centuries, said one resident interviewed. Unless the Ashta learn to pick locks, I'm not losing sleep over this. Even after their bravery, our hero is still on the job. They said, I won't rest until the Terramorph threat is ended. Colonial Health and Human Services will be holding a service for the relatives of the deceased, offering their sincerest condolences. Ryujin Tower was the scene of deadly violence. A break-in turned bloody resulted in the death of an undisclosed number of security guards. But with the obvious skill of the burglars, there's a strong likelihood their identities will never be found. The first intimidated, extorted, and in some cases murdered innocents in order to acquire farmland for Hope Tech. Time alone will tell. Ashta. In the UC, it is a name out of folklore. Hope Tech stock rallied in aftermarket trading to new highs on the surprising news of record profits for their latest fiscal quarter. I see. They said it wasn't easy, but they got the job done. The hope is within a short period of time, Terramorph attacks will be a thing of the past. UC Mast has recovered a significant amount of data stolen from Galbank. Corporate greed claims victims once more. And you have evidence to support this claim. For the heroes that fought there, it is even harder to shake. One said, I can't sleep at night because who knows when the Terramorphs will attack again. And it ultimately broke out into a life-or-death struggle. It is confirmed. The UC Vigilance, flagship of SysDef, our best defense against the Crimson Fleet, has been defeated. Strange news from Paradiso. This massive Ashta, dubbed an Ashta Prime, is a threat in order of magnitude greater than a common Ashta. All of this have left those that survived Ron Hope in a precarious place. What will happen to Hope Town or Hope Tech? The miner's daring supervisor organized a surprisingly effective defense. Despite endless speculation and conspiracy theories, no one knew what happened until now. In business news, Infinity Ltd. Has announced a mammoth contract with famed spacecraft OS developer Quantum Synergies. The settled systems can let out a collective sigh of relief as SysDef claims a stunning victory against the Crimson Fleet. The Freestar Collective ambassador said in an interview, "The fact that we can come together to face this shared threat is hopefully a sign that when the need is great, we can come together for the benefit of all." The Settled Systems News Network. News you can trust. Terror in the spaceport. A tranquil day in New Atlantis was thrown into absolute mayhem with the sudden appearance of multiple Terramorphs. The Alliance released a press statement saying that the mark was accurate and the tracker in question didn't hurt anyone. In the starport of New Atlantis, a nightmare of almost biblical proportions played out when 3 Terramorphs attacked and threatened all of us. Go get 'em, Mantis. An eyewitness expressed concern. If the Rangers can't protect their own bank, who can they protect? A crime ring at the New Atlantis spaceport has been busted up, and many have been arrested in connection. The Rangers sent in a silver-tongued negotiator who managed to get the gang members to surrender peaceably. Dangerous or not, rumor has it that at least 2 movie studios are in a bidding war for the rights to the book. A petition has reached 100,000 signatures, begging Chunks to offer it year-round. One modest hero said they just focused on protecting the civilians and staying alive. The UC Vigilance and support ships mounted a daring attack at the Crimson Fleet's headquarters, the Key. Stock prices of Generdyne Corporation are expected to be hit hard when the markets open next. But the true story of what befell the Regana will likely never be known. UC Security, in conjunction with unlikely help from Constellation, proved pivotal in ending the Terramorph threat. It turns out the whole scheme was orchestrated by Ron Hope. An investigation has begun into the aborted hijacking. I personally want to send my heartfelt prayers to anyone that travels in space. Godspeed.